Hey everyone, we're here for our daily update in devotion. So, as far as updates, this week is liable to be a different week here in Tennessee, especially in light of the governor letting our stay at home order expire on April 30th. Now, some restaurants and retail stores are opening at 50% capacity, and there's some other restrictions there with that as well. Well, so what does that mean for us as a church? Myself and the active deacons got together yesterday afternoon, that was Sunday afternoon, and we prayed and we talked and we planned on how we as a church can respond to the changing stay-at-home orders. And we talked about how we can minister to people, how we can worship together and all that. Well, what we're going to be doing this week is sending out a letter. You'll see this letter come in the mail. We'll also going to email that letter to you as well. And what it's detailing is how we are going to worship together in the next couple weeks. Now, I'm going to give you some highlights here, but again, you have a letter coming with more details. So, basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be meeting in person beginning this Sunday, May 3rd at 10:15. Now, again, this is just a brief overview. Read your letter in detail. So, we will be having worship service only at 10:15. There will be no Sunday school, no nursery or children's church. We will also block off every other pew to keep social distancing and also to keep our sanctuary at 50% capacity. Now, with that, if we fill up that 50% capacity, we are going to set the gym up as an overflow room and have a live video feed in there as well. We will not be passing offering plates. We'll have buckets or baskets at the doors. So when you leave, you can drop in your offering if you like, or you can continue to mail it in if you would do that. Now, if you are high risk or you're uncomfortable with coming back to crowds and things like that, that is fine. No judgment in that. We're going to give you two alternatives to not coming to in-person worship. We are going to be transmitting our worship service through a radio frequency, 88.1 FM, but you can only receive that frequency and hear the service if you're in our church parking lot. So you can do almost like a drive-in service. You could drive to church, you could park in the parking lot, listen to the worship service, and then you can leave after that if you would like. We will also be posting our worship service online at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Now, Marty and myself are going to pre-record what we're going to do Sunday. So you will be getting the same songs and the same message. It won't be live. It'll be pre-recorded, but it will come online at 10 o'clock so that you can worship with us in spirit at 10:15. Well, I think that's kind of a rundown, highlights of how we're going to be doing worship. But just, we want you to remember, I know we all want to return back to just normal and just do things the way we used to. But in light of some of our members being high risk, we want to show them love and respect by maintaining social distancing. So we are going to ask that, we're not going to be handshaking or hugging here at the worship service or anything like that. Again, we have an opportunity to love each other well during this time. The world is looking at us. So let's take advantage of the opportunity to show people that we love one another and that we respect each other. So we are going to be social distancing. We're going to ask that you do that as we worship together. And again, if you don't feel comfortable coming, there is no condemnation in that. That is perfectly fine. Again, you have the radio you can listen to. You can drive to our parking lot, or you can watch online as we have. Those are updates and announcements. Again, be looking in the mail and looking in your email for the detailed letter. And if you don't get one this week, sometime you can call the church office and we'll try to make sure we get that to you. Well, let's move on to our devotion for today. Our devotion today, we're picking up in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 22 through 36. Let's read that together. The Lord acquired me at the beginning of his creation, before his works of long ago. I was formed before ancient times, from the beginning, before the earth began. I was born when there was no watery depths, and no springs filled the water. Before the mountains were established, prior to the hills, I was given birth. Before he made the land, the fields, or the first soil on earth, I was there when he established the heavens, when he laid out the horizon on the surface of the ocean, when he placed the skies above, when the fountains of the ocean gushed out, when he set a limit for the sea so that the waters would not violate his command, when he laid out the foundations of the earth. I was skilled craftsman beside him. I was his delight every day, always rejoicing before him. I was rejoicing in his inhabited world, delighting in the children of Adam. Now, if you remember, leading into this section, we're talking about wisdom. So that is all about wisdom. And then it continues on in verse 32. And now, sons, listen to me. Those who keep my ways are happy. Listen to the instruction and be wise. Don't ignore it. Anyone who listens to me is happy, watching at my doors every day, waiting by the post of my doorway. For the one who finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But the one who misses me harms himself. All who hate me love death. What we're learning from this section that wisdom has always been. The wisdom of God has been around since the beginning. Before man was created, wisdom was thriving. So, what we learned from this, a couple things. One, God's wisdom is smarter than you. Smarter than me. It's been around longer. And God's wisdom has experienced more than you. And it's experienced more than me because it's been around from the beginning before we were even formed or fashioned. So, it begs a couple of questions. If God's wisdom has always been there, it's experienced more and it knows more than us, why do we constantly think we know better than God? Why do we think we can just do life without God? Or why do we follow our feelings more than the wisdom of God? I don't know why. I think it's because, simply put, we're sinners. We have this battle within us. Like Paul says, our battle is not with flesh and blood, but with principalities. We're in a spiritual war. And our sin nature within us and our enemy wants us to rely upon ourselves and to ignore God. See, because there is a vast difference between those listed here that listen to God and those who despise God or turn their backs on God's wisdom. Frankly put, Solomon said, if you miss wisdom, if you don't follow God's wisdom, you love death. It doesn't get plainer than that. So why do we rely upon ourselves again? It's because we take our eyes off of Jesus. See, Proverbs here is kind of a double meaning. Yes, it's Solomon speaking to his son, giving him wisdom and speaking about how wisdom has always been there and things like that. But that's also a picture of Jesus, how Jesus has always been. Jesus was with the Father from the very beginning. Jesus was part of creating all things. You can read that in John chapter 1. And so here, wisdom is giving you a description of wisdom is giving you a picture of Jesus and who he is. Jesus is always there. He's been there from the beginning. He was used to create all things. Jesus has been proclaimed to the world. He's proclaiming himself to the world. And everyone who comes to him has life. But everyone who denies him has death. Well, let's read verse 35 and 36 again. Thinking about Jesus, it says, for the one who finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But the one who misses me harms himself. All who hate me love death. Brothers and sisters, if we want to live for God's glory, if we want to be wise, we need to give our lives to Jesus. We need to trust him. We need to follow him. We need to live for him. Why? Because he's been there from the beginning. He formed and fashioned us. He knows what we need more than we know what we need. So don't trust yourself. Trust Jesus. Have a great day, and I look forward to talking with you again tomorrow.